And we should be live now. So we should be coming live. Hello, hello, on
Hello.
the other side here. So let me just look at my timeline to make sure that it's showing up. And then as soon as we see it, let's go ahead and share it on your. Yep, I see it coming on through on the other side. So I don't know if you found it as well. Do you want me to share it with you, Jamie? Or
Sure,
did you find
yeah.
it? All right, cool. I'm gonna send it out. Here it is. This is the link. So you just want to share it. I'm gonna put that in here. Share it. Let me just look at my timeline to make sure that it's up, and then as soon as we see it, let's go ahead and share it. Maybe you can lower the volume on your phone. I don't know if it's on your phone. Yeah, lower the volume on your phone. But we're good to go. All right, cool. Well, welcome everybody. Welcome to this live. I have this amazing guest that is joining me today, Jamie Durity. Welcome to the Facebook Live. I am just super excited to have you here, and I know that this interview has been some time in the making, but I wanted to, just do this as an acknowledgement of who you are, an acknowledgement of your leadership, and you're a powerhouse. And I knew that you were going to crush it, from the first time that we just had a conversation, because you're a superstar in everything you do. And if you guys don't know Jamie Durity, you guys are going to get to know her, contact her. She's amazing. And she's been in the real estate business over 22 years, and always C21, has received, basically every trophy at that brand, and just partnered with us, very, very short, just a couple of months back. And this is what I want you guys to get that are listening. Jamie capped at our company in 39 days. 39 days, right? Not 40, not 38, 39 days she capped. So what does that mean, right? And as for those of you that are listening out there, she officially capped with the company. That means that she achieved the company dollar. Now she does 100% commission, and also on the way to hit Icon, where she's going to be able to get the entire cap back in a form of stock. So without further ado, Jamie, I just want an opportunity to have the audience connect with you and welcome you, and gonna just share with us your story, right? Just so everybody gets connected. So welcome to the live. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Leo. It's a pleasure to be on here, and thank you for your time and your leadership as well. So, just a little bit to expound on what you said. After 20 years of consistent success in real estate production, I had just reached a point where I was stagnant. And what I can attribute it to is that I had really just stopped dreaming big. That's what keeps us going, are the dreams and thinking why. I had no big why anymore. I had no new goals for myself other than the same thing that I had gotten accustomed to was I just wanted to hit the Centurion production. And that vacillated over time between 220,000 to 280,000 in production. So once I would hit that, I would consider my work done for the year. And then I would just go on and start thinking about hitting Centurion again the next year. So what I came to realize is being in that other brand that had served me very well for a very long time, good brand, but I was at a 10% split with a 6% franchise fee. So when I would hit that Centurion status at about 280,000, it would mean that I had paid 45 to 46,000 in company dollars pretty much. So, and that's not even really counting errors and omission insurance and transaction coordinator fees. That is an addition. So, my big why when I heard about EXP, it became an obsession with maximizing the profit, that the potential profit as a business owner. EXP had just basically offered me a raise. So with the $16,000 cap with EXP, that was a raise of about $30,000 a year. And that was very attractive to me. And that's just based on 280,000. So imagine the more that I was able to sell, the more that I would be able to actually take home and profit, because no matter what you sell at that point, once you hit the 16,000, you're 100% at that point. So, and all I was doing is the same thing that I've been doing for the last 20 years. It didn't require any more of me if I didn't want to.
And if you add all that up, Jamie, right? Because you said, and how many years in a row did you hit the Centurion? How many years in a row were you doing that type of production? Just so the audience can get clear about that.
It was actually 18 years.
18 years, 18 years, 18 years at that level of production, right? But it sounds like you said 280 plus, right? 280 plus in that kind of. So you were on average paying $45,000 a year, right? So if we do the math, that's almost $800,000 of your hard-earned commission, right? That you could have had in addition, that could have gone to investments, because I know you do a lot of investments as well, things like that. So we've all been there. I've been with franchises in the past, so I understand exactly what you're talking about. But I just think that you bring up a good point, right? For people that are out there that don't realize that, right? Because an individual like yourself, very successful, very intentional, very, in the business every single day, and, kind of putting your head down and then just doing the daily tasks that you need to do to be successful, which is the great ingredient, right? Which is why you're a success. But in addition to that, we need to look up sometimes and, hey, what am I doing with my, what am I doing with my investment? What am I doing with my hard-earned money? And that's, I know that what you did, right, when you actually decided to partner with EXP, and, you went to a lot of different companies, right, before you even looked at us and considered it, because you were looking at making this move, not just be another lateral move, right? You wanted to research and look at different brands. So, and I know you did that. Maybe if you want to share a little bit about that, right? I know you were researching extensively, right? And then you came to the conclusion that this was going to be your home. And look at you now, capping and 39 days and keeping 100%, and on your way to get Icon here. So just super excited for you.
So to expound a little bit more about the point that you brought up, obviously hitting Icon even puts you even more than the 30,000 profit on the same production. But I wanted the move to be a final move, because I am a veteran agent and I had been in the business for over 20 years with the same brand. You can tell that loyalty was very important to me, and building a home and having deep roots was also very important. I haven't moved around a lot in my career. So I did a lot of research because it was a big move for me. So I researched pretty much every large brand, franchise, and otherwise, and boutique real estate agencies as well. So I went to Remax, I went to Coldwell Banker, I went to Compass, I went to TNG. I looked into HomeSmart and Compass. The list goes on. And I spent the time to do the research on the front end and the back end by calling agents that I knew that were already with those brands and reading the good, bad, and ugly about them, online too. And looking at 4 major things, which was the support, the technology, the systems, and also the leverage. Those were all very important. And the culture. Culture was a big deal to me as well.
Love that. And after you did obviously all your due diligence, you asked all the questions, and you got to this conclusion, and you said, hey, EXP is going to be my home. And obviously you're now here, right, for a couple of months. You're enjoying it. And just share with the audience, what was it? Because again, for someone that's out there that's productive just like you, right, they're not paying attention, right? So what was it that was like a light bulb that kind of went off, that said, you know what, this is where I need to be? Talk about how you made that decision. And then after making the decision, talk about like how does it feel now? And just share that. I think that's important to note.
Okay, certainly. Well, first of all, you, as a real estate agent, we're very busy. And I call it just kind of going under, because you get busy into your routine, and then you get where you have blinders on. So you're not really paying attention to all of these other things. You just want to get your deals closed and get your commission and live your life and balance all of these things. So when you're in that state of mind, a lot of times there's no room for any creativity. And you think because you're making a nice sum of money that you're actually growing. But if you look at your overall production year over year, numbers don't lie. So you see that you're not really growing. You're just stagnated, and you're just a status quo, so to speak. And that's what I began to see. And then it began to become more mundane, and I didn't have the passion that I had. I've always loved my clients and I love helping people, But sometimes in real estate, you run across things that are more difficult. They're not always the white picket fence scenarios. You run across divorces and deaths and probates and short sales and things like that. And you get caught up in the emotions of the good and the bad. So that being said, it started feeling a little bit more like work for me. So then I realized that I had stopped dreaming, that I didn't really have a big why for myself. And I really then began to have to accept something that I never wanted to accept. And that was that I really didn't have any clear goals for myself and my business to make it grow. And in knowing that and having achieved success, you realize that goals require action, and action requires direction, planning, and to strategize. And that's just what I began to do, is to strategize, because I knew that once I made the decision to come to EXP and I realized this platform that was going to allow me to make unlimited amounts of money through different streams, and also to be able to have more money in my pocket that wasn't going to the company, that it was going to require some increased focus. I felt like I was starting on a new playing field. I was like, okay, now how can I make as much money as I possibly can and bring it home? You know, take advantage of this. If I'm going to cap at 16,000, then that's more that I can bring home. So what am I going to do? So I started putting some focus and putting activities in place to accomplish it. And then I said, let me challenge myself. How quickly can I get to cap and get to 100%? And while having that goal in mind, I also was in the process of onboarding to a new company after 20 years. And it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. So I had to navigate through the technology and the learning curve of a new company. And that can be very intimidating, but rewarding, because it gives you leverage. And that's what we're all looking for in a world of technology, is leverage. I had to also rebrand myself, because there's new logos and new colors and that type of thing. And the vision started off with me just being worried about capping and my own commission. The vision started growing, though, along the way. And I said, what if I could open my own office? And what if I can do an escrow company? So all of these things added to my list of goals. So with all of these visions and thoughts and goals, I had to now power all of that with action. And the biggest takeaway from this is we all have the same amount of time every single day. We have 24 hours. And in that time, we need to eat and we need to sleep and take care of ourselves. So time blocking began to be more important to me than anything that there was. Having a hard calendar, because I had gotten into some bad habits where I got very comfortable with my level of production at my previous brokerage. So therefore, I knew how to take off and be on and off the radar. At any given time, I knew how to sit behind a television and eat some bonbons sometimes and still get that centurion number. So I said, this is something new, so it's going to take some new activity. I had to go back to the days of the constant and consistent prospecting. That is definitive, clear call to action. I became hyper focused on anybody that came in contact with me. I was going to act like a brand new realtor, and I was going to make sure that they weren't just meeting Jamie Durity, the person, they were meeting Jamie Durity, the realtor. And I made sure that any new person I met understood exactly what I was trying to do and what my goals were, and a call to action. And I asked for the business. And in asking for the business, you have to be very prepared to explain two things. Everybody wants the American dream. They want to own real estate. So that's not a hard sell. But the biggest sell is why now and why me? Those are the two things that became more important. So that's a little bit of
huge. Why now and why me? I think that is probably like, if anybody heard that, why now, why me, right? And that is something you should definitely write down as you're talking to your clients out there, because there is a lot of realtors and a lot of skepticism and a lot of noise in the industry and in the world, and but basically, with everything you shared, you went through a process. Obviously, what you were doing was working at a high level. Obviously, right? You were hitting your accolades. You were Centurion. Then you made the transition, which obviously wasn't easy, right? It took learning new strategies, new ways of doing it. But what you found is that you started to find a little bit more, more leverage. Then you started to become more intentional. And then you had a new level of energy, right? Which I could see in the Zoom, right? Like you're excited, you're motivated, you're energized, and it became like, hey, let me now tackle this new task. And obviously now you're sitting here right now having capped, right, 39 days, and which is amazing, right? So my hat's off to you, and I just want to congratulate you, because that is truly inspiring and amazing. And for all of the realtors that are out there that are looking to do it themselves, right? You're giving away some of those cues. So what would you say are additional things that really had you cap, within those 39 days? Like, what did you do? Obviously, time blocking, you mentioned that, intentionality, right? Why now? Why me? Right? I got that part as well. What would you say? What other things were you doing that really helped you to get there?
So real estate is a numbers game, and anyone that's been doing real estate understands that, or sales in general. So basically, the more people you talk to, the higher probability that you're going to get a new client and get the business. So it became very important for me to make sure that I was talking to 20 people a day. That was my number. And that number can vary depending on what your goals are. But I had very lofty goals. I wanted to make 6 figures in a short period of time. So every person, again, that I talked to was going to know I'm a realtor. So I began talking more. If I was in the market standing in line, I would strike up conversations with people. If I was at the mall walking around, I would strike up conversations. I began talking to my neighbors a little bit more, spending more time with them. I began to also beef up my social media presence. And EXP allowed me a wonderful platform for that, because everything was so easy under the EXP enterprise. And all the branding was there for me, and they give you templates and all of this wonderful stuff. And there were classes that taught me how to do that. I then also went back to some of my old Buffini and Ferry type of methods. And a lot of us in real estate know what those are. And that is calling on your past clients and asking for referrals.
All right. Can you guys hear me now? Can you guys hear me? Just checking, testing, 1, 2, 3, testing, 1, 2, 3. Can you hear me? Yes, maybe, no. Let's see. Hello there. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the connection. You were on fire. I think you could. I think everybody can hear us now.
Okay.
But hey, I don't know what happened, but I think the internet couldn't take it. They couldn't take it.
I know they couldn't take it, huh? Okay, well, we're gonna wrap it up. So I'll just kind of back it up a little bit.
Yeah, let's do it. All right.
So Leo wanted to get very specific with what is it exactly that I did. Okay, so I became very intentional about talking to people. So as we know, real estate is a numbers game. So the more people you talk to, the higher the likelihood and probability that they're going to become your client or send you business in some type of way. So for me, the number was 20. it became so important for me every single day that I was going to touch 20 people. And it wasn't going to be ambiguously doing it. It was going to be where they actually responded to whatever call of action. So it was face to face, or if I was going to post, I looked at how much engagement that I was actually getting, and was it leading to someone commenting more than just a like. It had to strike up a conversation. So every person, again, was going to know that I'm a real estate broker if they didn't already know me. So if I was at the market and I'm standing in line, I would strike up a conversation. If I'm at the mall, standing in line, or in an elevator somewhere, or at the doctor's office and we're sitting in the lobby, I'm going to start talking to people. And I'm going to ask them, call to action straight up, do you know anybody that can benefit from my services? And in asking these questions, the whole why now, you talk about the state of the market. What is the marketplace doing? Why me? Because I have answers. So I started striking up certain topics and then coming in with dialogue. So then it gave some value, some added value to the equation. And then people, it would resonate with people, and they would find the things that I was talking about and saying to be helpful. And they were like, I think I know somebody. I think I have a sister, cousin, brother, friend that's looking, and I really like you. And you seem like you know what you're talking about and doing, and you're successful. And they would send them my way. I then also started beefing up social media, because now I'm with a new platform of EXP, and I have tools and I have leverage now. So the social media presence got beefed up. I started doing videos and posting them on YouTube and Instagram. I was never a big Instagram person. I've always done Facebook, but I never leveraged videos. I began to do that, and bringing up topics and posting them. I also went old school with the Buffini and the Tom Ferry style, with calling on past clients. So prospecting and really bunkering down. If I was going to set aside 2 hours, it was going to be 2 quality hours of getting on the phone with as many people as possible and not doing any interruptions, not taking any calls, not responding to texts, unless it was somebody calling me back that I had left a message for. And not checking my social media, and not all of the little distractors that we get ourselves involved in. The other thing was mailing, old school mailing of calendars. The year end was coming when I first transitioned over to EXP. I came November 1st, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get a calendar out to every single person so they can, it has a magnet, they can post it on their refrigerator. And guess who they get to see every single day? So just, just trying to be top of the mind and become a household face and name. That helps. And then I also had the privilege of attending EXP Con. And what that did for me is it allowed me to visit the EXP store and buy merchandise. So I bought these golf shirts with the logo on them. And I made it a point to wear them at least twice a week when I would go out, because that was an automatic way to get people to say, oh, you're an agent, and how's the market, and whatever. So I did that. And then I also did something, and we all have to be honest. There's always an opportunity where a lead comes in, and we either respond to it too late or not at all, or we don't do proper follow-up. We have very good intentions and we take down numbers and stuff. So I became obsessed with lead conversion and doing better follow-up with online leads and sign calls.
Wow. Huge. Hyper intentionality. And you're literally a walking, talking billboard. You're staying top of mind. You're doing the calendar. You're bumping into people. They got to know that you're in real estate. You're wearing the EXP swag. I mean, all of those things are critical. I mean, I was actually yesterday. I mean, it's so interesting that you say that, because yesterday I was doing my little walk at Lionsfield right on the stairs. I had my EXP swag hat on, right? And literally there was somebody that said, hey, EXP, right? And I honestly was thinking, like, is this another agent? And it turned out to be a client, and he wants to sell his home. He also wants to buy his home. And then his daughter is going to go to college in Portugal. And because we're out there as well, we're going to be able to help her daughter out there just by me wearing a hat at 7:30 in the morning. You know, so guys, if you guys are listening to what Jamie is saying, she literally just gave you the keys to your ultimate success. I know that there's a lot of noise out there, but pay attention to what Jamie is saying. One of the great things that I admire about Jamie, not only is she a top producer and she's doing all these wonderful things for her and her business, she's now leading a group of individuals, and she does these weekly powerful calls that I had an opportunity to pop into, you know, from time to time. And, you know, so she's a huge giver. So I just, you know, I wanted to make this interview just to acknowledge you once again. And thank you for sharing your golden nuggets. And for anybody that is out there that is interested or curious to learn how Jamie has capped in 39 days, or if you're curious to learn how to partner with her, feel free to reach out to her. She's an open book. She's fully transparent. She's amazing, as you guys can already tell. But, you know, just from my perspective, Jamie, thank you so much for taking the time and being here with me today. I know this is only the first of many interviews.
No problem. I want to part with just some words of golden nuggets, I'll call them. And that is, goal setting is the first step of achievement. Start with goals and always start with the end in mind. Don't think about the steps. There's no breakthrough in a comfort zone. None. There's no success without some type of sacrifice. So for me, it was some sleep deprivation and no television. I was not watching television during that time. And also remember in parting that most people will not support you. They will not understand your vision. So don't expect them. Okay. Just do what you need to do. Stay focused and keep going. Thank you, Leo.
I love that. I love that. What a way to end the Zoom. I mean, not the Zoom, and the live here. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And everybody that commented and tuned in. I know your husband was commenting and called you Wonder Woman and called me DJ Khaled. And, you know, you have a wonderful husband. So if you're still listening, man, thank you for what you do. But thank you, Jamie. Wonderful spending this time with you. And I'll see you very soon. All righty. Thank you. All righty. Bye-bye. Let me hit the stop here.